First of all, I want to say congratulations to all of you. Creating a film is no small feat, you know? So just the fact that you put so much love, which I felt, so much love into these projects. We are so honored to have you as a part of our 7th annual BraveMaker Film Festival. The films were inspiring and heartwarming and emotional, and they were funny and they were fun. So what I want to do to start is I just want to hear your names, hear what films you're with, and then what role you had in bringing these films to life.
Sure. I'm Taylor Bakken, and I'm the writer-director of What's the Deal with Birds?
I'm Stephen Birchall. I'm the VFX supervisor and animator for What's the Deal with Birds?
I'm Holly, and I'm the writer and director and co-producer of Sunflower Girl.
Buenos dias! I am Natalie Camun. I'm the director of Number One Bad Dad. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you all so much for being here. So yeah, we'll just share this mic. We'll pass it back and forth. So what I would like to know is what inspired you to bring these films to life?
So What's the Deal with Birds? It's based on an article that a scientist published to prove that some online scientific resources weren't checking the facts or anything about the article. So the article is literally called What's the Deal with Birds? And a geneticist friend of mine who I went to college with sent it to me. She was like, this is kind of your cup of tea. And I don't know, I felt like I worked on this movie that was really a feature in LA that was very just like delightful, and we had so much fun on set, and I was like, I want to try to do something of a similar vibe, and that's kind of how this got started, so yeah.
I just wanted to tell like a personal coming of age story, because this was like my first like solo directed film, and I wanted to do something that was what, they say, write what you know. So I wrote what I knew, and inspired by like growing up in New York City and my family's experiences. So yeah.
I decided to pitch myself as a director for Number One Bad Dad because I had never done a comedy before. I'd never done something that was so ambitious, something that had VFX, a puppet, like special effects. And I'm just really inspired to bring my voice and my vision to stories that really showcase Latino families. And right now, I live in Los Angeles, and, our family... Sorry.
No. Appreciate it. Take your time. Take your time.
I wanted to show that even though we might be called monsters, we aren't.
I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to go back to that for a second. You told a very brave story. Everyone told a brave story. And here at BraveMaker, we value that because we know it's not always easy to tell your story, especially when it may come from a place of pain or hurt, or even from a place of love. Sometimes it's challenging to put your vision into words and to then bring that to life on the screen. So my question for all of you, we can start at the end. What do you hope that audiences take away from the films that we saw today? Yeah, go ahead. No problem. Come back.
I feel like for us, and I think maybe other people on the panel can relate, is why I wanted to write it as a coming of age story that's personal, but also like the greater reason was writing it during COVID and a lot of things going on, and a lot of things going on now. And I think like just wanting to create something that's personal, things that are personal or universal. We all experience things like in our lives growing up that aren't just specific to me or someone else. Like we all go through things, and I wanted to show that everything is universal, that can create empathy, and we can see things through different people's perspectives, whether they look like you or don't look like you, or live somewhere or don't live somewhere. Like we all have similar experiences. So that was really the reason why I wanted to make something really like a simple story, so that people can put themselves in the shoes of the characters. And people have been taking away that it kind of reminds them of their childhood, that's like kind of what I wanted. And I'm really glad to hear that that's been what audience members have been taking away from it.
Thank you. Yes, and I've been directing for over 10 years now, and I've always been sort of just in a niche of Latino film festivals. And I was really excited about taking on a project that I thought could be mainstream. And it was really validated when we premiered at Slam Dance this year. And it's just been so great to figure out and walk that line of like, how do I tell stories about the people, I don't want to say the people, but like the topics that I really care about in a way that is universal and can bring a smile and can bring warmth to the heart. So you're not really thinking about the exteriors of my characters. You're really just caught up in, for this film particularly, that everyone is worthy of redemption, you know, whether they've been put in a detention facility like Sal was in our story, whether they have issues with rage and they're trying to figure it out. That redemption is just around the corner and in very small gestures.
I'll let you take this one.
I think one of the big things is obviously Frankie has the question, what's the deal with birds? And her dad tries to make her feel very silly about that. And I think for me, it became like a giant metaphor for kind of our own personal journeys and how sometimes we're so certain of them, but the rest of the world isn't. And I grew up in a small town in Minnesota, and so the fact that I get to make films now is still kind of crazy. And it's exciting, but like I took a huge leap coming to LA, and I feel like Frankie literally takes a huge leap in the film, and I just wanted to kind of be like, no, your question is still very important, and it should be asked, and you should try to find the answer. And I think that I just really wanted to tell that story.
No, I love that. And there are specific things that I love about each of your films. So what's the deal with birds? Like you were just saying, she believed in this vision. And even though her dad tried to shut her down, she said, you're embarrassing me, you're embarrassing yourself. Yeah. She kept going. She heard that and she's like, all right, where am I going? What's next? You know, so it's so important to have that belief in yourself, especially when other people, especially when the world, when someone close to you tries to tear that down. And Sunflower Girl, I love skateboarding, first of all. That was always something that I grew up loving. But just balancing that line between I'm growing up, this is my new identity, but I still have to stay true to who I am and my family. And then Number One Bad Dad, it was fun, it was emotional, it was heartwarming, but just like you said, that story of redemption, that everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves that. And so those are some things that I loved about the films, but I just want to hear, what was your favorite part about either making the film, maybe something you learned in the process? It can be anything. What was your favorite part about this film?
So many things. I mean, the animation was so much fun. I mean, it was tough, but it was really fun. We shot on film, which was a really incredible experience. I think the most fun I had on the film, though, was writing the final song. I wrote that with my composer, and I'm singing it, and I'm doing like the crazy church lady high voice at the end. And we had probably, because we were trying to figure out what song we wanted to end the movie with, and I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. That's what I grew up on. So we were like, maybe we'll end it with Jimmy Buffett, and then that kind of merged into yacht rock. So then we started to do kind of this Steal Away vibe for the song, and then it just wasn't quite weird enough. And I have a huge music background, and I had studied all different forms of classical music in college, and sacred harp singing. I don't know if anybody in this room knows what that is, but it's a really specific style of choir where like one person keeps time in the middle of the room and then everybody around just belts out the music. And so I came to my composer and I was like, what if we did sacred harp singing over the yacht rock? And literally microphone, him and I at opposite ends of the room singing multiple different parts of the song. And it was, I mean, his wife kept popping her head and being like, are you guys okay in there? But that was probably the most fun I had on it.
Man, I think my favorite moment was either being on set or just finally finishing all the animation, because it was such a long, grueling process. It was maybe 2 weeks of constant animation. And just we pushed it down to the wire, like we were pretty much the last 48 hours. But just being done with it and knowing that I had made something really cool and really fun. And we did some new stuff too. Like she said, we shot on film, but I shot the stop motion on digital. So it was really fun to like work with our colorists to go from color to color and figure out how to make everything look like it was actually there. And Ectochrome film. That's something I've never worked with. So yeah, really fun. But yeah, just being done with it all and the euphoria, and that was definitely my favorite.
I think for me it would be definitely the like actual production of the film. Like we shot for 4 days in New York City, and it was really hot, but it was everyone. I mean, we're all still like a community. We love each other, and it's just such a great experience. I mean, I really like directing, like being on set, and I'm not like I'd rather be with everybody and experience it together and have a good time than kind of like have anxiety about everything. So I really enjoyed filming it. Yeah, and we still like talk about how great it was, the experience. So it was just a lot of fun.
Wow. I have so much gratitude for, I don't know if you guys caught, our crew size was so small. Our budget was so tiny. And I have so much gratitude for everybody who gave their time and gave their services and gave their hearts to the performances or the VFX or the puppeteering. I was so excited to have a puppet, and my cousin, from the moment I was pitching on this project, I was like, my cousin Magdiel is obsessed with Jim Henson. He does like every chance he can. He like works with them. And I was like, Mag, I think this plant needs to be a puppet. Like if we're gonna care about this plant for the big moment at the end, like she has to endure us. She has to draw us in. She has to have a personality. Like before I even pitched this idea, do you think you could make it happen? And he's so funny. And he's like, and he has like a mustache and like really big hair, and you can only see his glasses. And he's like, yeah, let me think about that. And he comes down like the same day with this piece of felt. And it was just a shadow of what it ended up being. It was just this piece of felt, and the way he was like mechanizing it, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can pitch this. I can deliver this idea.
I loved it. I loved it so much. And one thing I don't think I said, all of your films were so beautiful. Just when I saw them, the colors and shooting on film, and it just brought your story to life in a very unique way for every single one of them. So kudos to you, for everyone on your team, because they were amazing, stunning films. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we have about 5 minutes. I'm going to open it up to the audience. If there are any questions, you can raise your hand. I'll take 1 or 2 questions. I see 1, 2. So if you could just project your voices a little bit, and then, so we'll start right here, and then we'll go to you. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
My question is, we are living in difficult times, and dehumanization is a regular practice. How difficult is for you as filmmakers to humanize things and animals?
Wow.
That's a good question. I mean, I think that is the point of filmmaking, right? Is to show that everybody has a voice and that everybody is human, and especially with the animals too. Like, I think it's so fun my boss and I talk about this all the time about how like everything is connected, and I think that is like the greatest privilege of being a filmmaker, is the ability to tell those stories, and that's like part of our jobs, is to humanize everybody and sort of give everybody and everything a platform in a lot of ways. Yeah.
I can answer this too. I think from a more technical perspective, I think especially in the era where AI is kind of encroaching on a lot of VFX jobs, I think the most important thing is that you're always getting your inspiration from reality. Like, for example, I used a lot of bird footage, to animate the puppet and figure out like what motions we were going to do, how the bird's going to convey emotion. So I think you need to make sure that your work is always grounded in some form of reality, and you're not just generating AI slop.
So real. Yeah, I think like this is something I think about like every day now. I'm not gonna lie. Like sometimes I even like having kind of existential crises, like, is what I'm doing like really helping anything right now? Like I really do think about that a lot. It keeps me up at night. But then I come back, I come to these festivals and we're talking about things like this, and I see people's stories, and it just makes me think like how personal is powerful, and seeing like our perspectives like on screen, like people, you're in a room with all these different people, and everyone, we don't all like live here, right? Or we don't know like the people sitting next to us, but we're all watching these stories on screen, and we're going through these emotions together. And so I feel like just telling our stories without, just literally could be like boiled down to something so basic, but it's a human experience, and that's gonna humanize like anything we're seeing on screen as a story. So I think, yeah, it's just reminding myself and ourselves that like storytelling is like important and it's brave, and this is like doing something. It's changing people's like lives. They're gonna walk out and think about this. So yeah.
I had this, so at SFO Airport, I saw this robot barista, and I was so captivated by it because it was so charming. And it didn't have a human face, it didn't have a human body, but it was making physical jokes. It was interacting with the cup, it was making the people in the line laugh. And it dawned on me like, wow, it's a long time since I've seen a human barista that happy. And I'm like, wow, well, you know, the robot doesn't have to pay bills. The robot doesn't have to deal with interpersonality tensions at work or not being treated well by somebody. And I thought it was really interesting how we need to remind ourselves to be human. And I really, for me, in bringing these characters to life, it was so important to have as many table reads as I could with Latino actors and actresses, and, you know, really throw the jokes at the wall. Like, for every joke you see, there was probably 6 that we recorded that we ended up cutting, because you just never know what's going to work. And I think having that rigorous curiosity for me in each character, and really asking the actors, like, okay, this line here, like, what memory was it connected to? Working with Liliana, like, in between takes, when we had time, when there was setup, like, asking her, okay, let's imagine right now the moment that your mom gave you Diana. What was that like? And then just giving her a moment to dive into her deep imagination. And then making the space to receive that. And then allowing that information to then impact the lines that were going to come next. I think it's like that deep listening, that deep intimacy of collaboration that for me is so alive in humanizing the work.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that so much. We have one more question over here. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Wonderful movies. In the Bird movie, it seemed like those exteriors were all shot at the same time of day. How did you do that? What time of day did you shoot? How many hours?
I'm so glad they seemed like they were all the same time of day, because they weren't. I honestly got so lucky with my DP and her gaffer, the guy who does the light. Like, I honestly was just... there were so many moments where they would light things, and I'd be like the scene in the Bower when all the gold is out in front and the gold is glinting. I like thought that was natural light, and then I looked over and Ryan's like got this shitty grin on his face, and he's like, nope, that was all me. And I think we really, really watched that carefully because we knew the timeline of what the script was going to be, and we really like we went to that location. Actually, my DP and I went to that location and just hung out for a couple of hours, a week before we shot, a weekend before, and just kind of just to see how the light was going to sort of move over the trees. But luckily we had a lot of shade, which was great because it was also 100 degrees in the parking lot. We had a lot of shade, so we could kind of control that. But I'm glad you think that. That means we did our job.
Three-day shoot as well.
It was a 3-day shoot. Yeah. Yeah.
Please give it up again for all the filmmakers. You all are amazing. Thank you again for sharing your stories. Thank you to everyone who was here. Thank you to everyone who's watching online. We have a day full of films, of workshops, so if you haven't grabbed a program, there are plenty out on the table. Thank you again for being here. If you have any questions, you can come see me. You can come see Art outside. Yeah, one more thing.
I have a t-shirt that I'd love to give away to a kid if they would just come down and share what their dream is.
I love that. I love that so much. There we go. Here we go. Give a round of applause. And then stick by 1 second. Over you. Yeah. Here you go. What's your name?
My name is Grady.
Grady, what's your dream?
I dream to make a movie and show it up here.
I love that. Absolutely. You got it. All right, can you get your shirt? Really quick, before our filmmakers leave, I just want to get their information so you can know how to follow them, continue to support their journeys.
Yes. I am on Instagram, just at Taylor Bakken. You can follow at What's the Deal with Birds Film, and we're getting ready to shoot another short at the end of the year. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, also, Stephen Burchell on Instagram, Stephen with a PH, Burchell, Burchell. You can also find me through the What's the Deal with Birds film Instagram.
Yeah, I feel like the easiest thing is just going to the Sunflower Girl page, the Instagram, Sunflower Girl Film. That's it. So you'll find us all there.
Also on Instagram, Natalie Camou, NATALIECAMOU. And our films is One Bad Dad Film.
Love it. I love
Also for other kids, I have little, my friend crocheted these really cute little Diana dongles.
I love it so much.
So I'm happy to give those out to anyone who wants one.
Awesome. Thank you all again so much. Thank you all. I hope to see you around the festival. Have a great rest of your day. You all are amazing.